Welcome, everyone, to the Two Old Guys Reselling Podcast. We are back for episode 56.
Yep.
This train keeps on rolling, buddy. It ain't going to stop no time soon. We're heading right for Pickin the Plateau coming up in about 45 some odd, 40-something days. Let's see, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 3, 4, 5, 6, 46 days.
Yep.
There is another reason to be excited about Pickin the Plateau. And I will throw this out there. I've named a few names that are coming so far. Of course, there's Josh. Bama Jaybird Resell will be there.
Reasons to be excited, Caleb.
Yes.
Stick to those. Stick to those.
I'm excited. Then I'll be there. That's not so exciting. Rocky Top Picker, he's going to be there. Beard King Picker, he's going to be there. Soda City Flips, he's going to be there. Easy Pickens, Chris, he's going to be there. You've got several more resellers coming. I won't try to name them all because I will leave somebody out, but I will name this one that bought a ticket this week. And the reason I'm naming her is because she was super, super awesome. She came last year, got to meet her, and just a sweet, sweet lady. And she bought her tickets a few days ago, and I was pumped. I was excited. I was like, yeah, she's coming back. And that is Grinning Grandma. Cher. She is on YouTube. She is on Facebook. She is on Instagram. And she's just awesome. Like I remember she walked up and she said, I want a hug. And I'm like, okay. And she said, this is one of the only times that an old lady can get by with hugging a good, handsome looking young man without anybody saying anything. And I was like, well, I don't know about the young, handsome part, but sure,
Wow.
But she was playing and she was just awesome. So she's coming. She bought her tickets. I'm assuming her husband coming with her. And we're excited about that because she was awesome. Yeah. And several more coming. Of course, our families will be there too. If you watch the old paths and you're always wondering, like, why don't he ever show Tanya? Like, she won't let me. But if you come to this, she's going to be there and she can't hide. So You'll be able to see her for yourself. All right. So,
and although my wife does make a guest appearance from time to time, I'm told that in person she's the favorite. So,
yeah, there's no doubt that once they see Tanya, that'll be the same for me also. But while we're talking about this, we'll just go ahead and chill out our sponsors right quick. So here we go.
The 2024 Highway 127 Pickin the Plateau comes to you hosted by the Two Old Guys and co-hosted by the Reseller Locker Room. Our sponsors are My Reseller Genie, Grams and Pops Vintage, and Lucky 7 Auction.
And there's a few of those still yet available. If you want to be a sponsor, don't wait because it's time to start showing our sponsors on the air. And I think what we'd say, we got 7 weeks until the meetup. So if you want to be shown on this show and seen by dozens and dozens of people, you better hurry because
and be a guest.
Yeah. And be a guest. Yeah. We've only got so many weeks available that you can be a guest before the meetup. So if you want to do that, that's all available to you. Just hit us up and we can give you all the details on that. But man, getting excited about it. Like, there's been a lot of stuff to distract me. Between moving, we had Bible school, I've had doctor appointments. I mean, just there's been so much stuff to distract me for the last couple months. Now I'm starting to, I'm going to carefully say starting to slow down. I'm really not, but I'm sure I'll find something else to go in there. But anyway, it's just been crazy. So I'm hoping that these next couple of weeks will be more controlled chaos, I guess is maybe the correct term I should use, but anyway, we're getting there. We'll have it all lined up here in a couple of days. Yeah. Can't wait. Hope you guys can come. I know I've heard from a few people that wanted to come, but it's just not financially possible or physically possible, either location or money. And I get it. Look, this ain't to make anybody feel bad. I understand sometimes it's not financially feasible to make a big long trip like that. Yeah. So no guilt to anybody.
Right.
But just looking forward to hanging out with awesome people.
Yeah, same here. Well, and you're talking about just all the stuff going on. I was thinking you had a birthday this last week, right? So
canceled.
Oh, I was pretty sure you was getting older. I was thinking, we might have a little bit of that. OMADD, old man attention deficit disorder. Yeah. But yeah, it's getting closer. I feel like every day that goes by, of course, we've got a lot of coordination to do to get ready, and I'm sure it's the same way with everyone else. I would love, it'd be great, like if this was something that we could bring my mother with us, so we didn't have to, kind of coordinate that. But it's just not, just where we're at. It's just not something that we can do. So that's going to be a challenge for us. We got some things kind of in the works to take care of that. But that's what it is anytime we do anything, and that's one of the reasons why we don't go as much. But we got that to take care of, and it seems like, man, every couple of weeks I'm getting nominated to do more cooking while I'm up there. So
absolutely. Hey,
I've got to quit volunteering. I'm
either if we do it at the house, there's plenty of room in there. I've got the Blackstone outside. I mean, we'll find a way for you to cook. Okay, there's plenty of rocks outside. Make a fire pit. I mean, whatever we got to do.
That'd be good. Now it's good cooking over a fire.
Oh yeah, it seems like it tastes different. Like
man.
You remember what Barney Fife said and Andy Griffith, right? They're out there camping in the woods, and of course he says he's this big pioneer, and he's trying to get Gomer out of the woods, and he's leading him in circles, and Andy finds him, and he's like, "Here, tell him this is the bird he caught in the trap," and Aunt B had actually brought the bird, and he's like, tears up some matches, puts them on the rock, and Barney's getting all tore up, like, I just knew I knew what I was doing, and Gomer's like, "Well, won't you try that fire one more time?" And he takes his stick and goes like this, and it flames up, and and he says, "I better get some twigs." He gets some twigs, and then Gomer's holding that bird. He comes back a minute later, and the bird's done. He's like, "It's done already?" He said, "Well, does that make sense? Any fire started natural has to burn hotter, right?"
Yeah.
Just love old.
Oh man,
Don Knotts, man, he was hilarious.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Did you ever watch? He's in some spaghetti westerns too. I think Shakiest Gun in the West.
I love Shakiest Gun in the West.
Hilarious. I mean, it's so dumb, but it's so funny.
Well, it's just that to me was the golden age of cinema. You didn't have to worry about it. It was just good, clean, funny stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you couldn't laugh at Don Knotts, you're in trouble, because the dude's just funny. And when you put him and I forgot his name. I know I can see him in my mind, that played in the Apple Dumpling Gang. You know who I'm talking about. Not but the other one, Don Rickles is funny too.
He is.
The other guy, Tim Conway,
yeah.
You put them two together, and they was classic, like hilarious.
Man, Tim Conway stuff anyway, like his little like physical humor. Because he would do those skits, and he wouldn't even say anything sometimes. And it was just all facial expressions, No,
he held it so good,
stone cold, man. I mean, he was just.
You could so tell, good. It was almost like you could tell he's dying on the inside.
Yeah,
but he's just like never bats an eye, and it's so awesome.
Right.
Like, them two together was amazing. I don't know how we got way off on that, but we're talking about cooking over a campfire, weren't we? Yeah, I can't wait for the food. And this will be a good time. I meant to mention this too. If you're coming to the meetup, so we are going to have swag bags. We are going to have stuff in the swag bag. If you're coming, make sure to bring cards, stickers, anything you want to put in those swag bags. You'll be welcome to do that. Just being there. There ain't no charge or nothing, just bring anything you want to promote your own self with. Those swag bags will go out to everybody. So everybody will get your card, your sticker, whatever, that kind of stuff.
Right.
don't send hats and don't send, stuff like that, but anything promotional to do with your business. And then also we talked about this last week, for the auction, for the charity auction, we mentioned that if you have something you want to send in to us to be auctioned off during the live auction at the event, get with me or get with Josh, message us on either Facebook or Instagram. You can find us in the description on either one. Just let us know that you're wanting to send something, and we can get you the address to send it to and get all that taken care of. But we're shooting for $40 to $50. That way, the person that buys it can also still turn around and maybe flip it and make a little money. And it's kind of beneficial to all parties, and it's going to a good cause also. But this will be 100% auction. We're going to send all this money straight on to these charities, to these places to benefit those different organizations. All right, enough shilling for that. I want to show something off real quick. Warning. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that. Warning, may spontaneously talk about wrestling. I should have waited till the wrestling segment, but I've been rocking this shirt all morning. It's going to be on my video this week also. But you talked about my birthday. Nathaniel messaged me my birthday was on Wednesday, and Nathaniel messaged me Monday and said, "Hey, by the way, it's going to be late, but you got a gift coming in the mail." I'm like, "Well, you didn't have to do that, He sent him and Ashley picked out, I may be telling this wrong. I think she picked them both out, but I could be lying. I'm not sure. But one of them says Waymaker, and it's like a big, pretty design, and it has the verses there. And Isaiah talks about Promise Keeper, Waymaker, Miracle Worker.
Right.
That was a cool shirt. I wore that to Bible school one night. And then this one that says Morning May spontaneously talk about wrestling. I'm like, I got to wear that one on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because man, I may break out into Macho Man anytime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dig it.
Killing me, man.
Now I gotta clear the airway out now, because that.
Yeah.
Oh, you imagine talking like that a lot.
Oh my goodness! I mean, and they were in character 24/7. Anytime they were in public, they're always in character. They couldn't break it. So
if you watch the story of his life, he became the character.
He did. It
wasn't really a character. It was just Randy Savage. He adopted the voice, and his brother in a documentary even talks about Randy was his real name, but it was Randy Poffo. And he's like, Randy never talked like that before. Of course, he had the grizzly voice, but he put on the into it. And he said,
right.
Once he became the Macho Man, he never turned back. So he started talking like that at family events, and he'd be like,
Look,
"Hey, Randy, how's it going?"
I read a story. I think it's yesterday or the day before, a little short story about him. And this guy was talking about when he had met him, and he walked into a bathroom stall and wound up standing beside him at the urinal. But said when they had finished, and said that they had washed hands, he said, "Hey man, just wanted you to know I've been a fan, for years." And he's, "Oh yeah," he just, "Thank you, brother." Shook his hand, it's like did the whole Macho Man thing. It's like super cool about it. But
see, that's the way I'd want him to be if I met him. Like, put the show on right here.
Yeah, said it was complete Macho Man, 100%.
Forehead right here. Put Macho Man. I'll never wash it again.
And speaking of shirts, I know we mentioned that shirts. We were going to be ordering shirts. We're working on that. I've actually been talking with the guy that we're planning to use here locally, and he's working on the design. He's been busy, but now trying to get the files, the vector files sent over to where they can be broken down. It's been giving me a challenge with email because they're too large for an attachment. And so I'm trying to use mail drop, but we'll get it worked out, but that's been the only holdup. Hopefully by the end of, I know this won't release till Thursday when y'all are hearing this, but we're recording this is Monday. And hopefully by the end of the week, we will have at least a price, a design workup and a price. He's going to try to have it to me by the weekend, and he just had trouble accessing the files. So we're very close on that. And as soon as we have something approved, he can have those made pretty quickly. So we'll be having shirts pretty soon.
That's awesome.
Lord willing. Yeah.
That is
we're
awesome.
Excited about it.
Excited about wearing my face on a shirt. That's exciting.
Well, it's altered. It's altered.
Doctored to make it appear better than. That's kind of like looking in the mirror, maybe closer than that. This one's going to be looks better than actually appears.
Well, I would say the same about mine, so that's all right.
I don't know. You look at that logo there in the middle. You look pretty cool there. I look like I'm totally bald. You know.
Well, I tried about 12 pictures of you. I mean, it's the best, that's the best I could get.
It is definitely the best it's going to get.
I mean, look, those of you looking, I sent so many options to Caleb, and he's like, no, I don't like that. No, I look dead. Why am I blue?
That one looks like Jaws bit his face off or something, you know.
He said, why am I blue? Yours looks good. What's wrong with mine?
I mean, you know, they say the camera never lies, right?
It's just tough. That's probably the most challenging part for me is trying to pick a picture for anything, because I've been one that avoided the camera most of my life anyhow, and so not only filming myself but having to put my face on a thumbnail, you know, once or twice a week. None of them look like something I'd want to put on there, you know. And then trying to stage a picture of yourself so you can, you know. It's just, man, oh my goodness,
that's probably been the hardest part for me, because I feel so vain.
Oh man,
putting myself on those thumbnails, I'm like, you big nerd, like what in the world? And then I'm like, well, you know, if I'm talking about like one time I did one on returns, so I'm like, you know, like that. I'm like, I look totally stupid, but it worked. You know, like it works with the thumbnail, but I'm like, I'm just going to have to embrace my stupid and go for it. And 30, embrace. I think I've got like 35 or 36 videos on the Old Pass, and every one of them's pretty bad. You know, all the thumbnails, pictures of me are pretty bad. You know, so
you had to embrace your inner Tim Conway. You know, get those facial expressions down and just go with it.
That's right. Oh, Tim Conway. I love. Now, I don't remember. I don't think it had any bad language. But one time, Don Rickles roasted Dean Martin. Did you ever see that?
I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. Don Rickles.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Oh, man. He was absolutely hilarious. Like, and I'm pretty sure it was clean, but I could be lying. Maybe there was a word. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, he burnt Don Rickles burnt Dean Martin up. Like Dean, of course, Dean Martin sitting over there drinking, you know, like drinking his vodka or whatever. And you would Don Rickles would say something, you'd see Dean Martin go, he'd kick back, and like he'd turn blood red just laughing. And I mean, that's just. Don Rickles is hilarious. All them old comedians, you know, they were actually funny. They didn't rely on all this stuff that these new ones do.
And
they had to actually be funny.
Yeah, and I don't mind. I know everybody's different. Like I've never been entertained by, I don't like vulgar humor anyway. You know, I mean, nothing like that. And I know some people, you know, it's not trying to condemn anybody. I mean, your people are free to choose to watch what they want to watch.
Chopping your heads off right now. Condemn. Wow.
Yeah. But you know, it's I like when we talk spaghetti westerns, I've always thought it was funny to watch someone just be goofy. I mean, I liked Red Skelton growing up, like the old Red Skelton stuff. I mean, I thought he was hilarious. Freddie the Freeloader and stuff like that. You know, I mean,
Clem Diddle Hopper.
Oh yeah, Clem Diddle Hopper.
With a cadiddle in the middle and a hopper from the top.
Yeah. You know,
all you
what
young
was that? The cauliflower, the boxer, the cauliflower. I mean, so if you haven't heard of these people and you're watching, look them up. You might actually like them. You never know.
Now, Red Skelton couldn't hold his face. That's what made him funny, though.
That's okay. That's okay.
He would do something and he'd get plumb down. Like,
yeah.
But that's what made him funny. Watching him respond to himself was hilarious.
And, you know, at the time that he was popular, he was as big of, I mean, he was loved by everybody. It wasn't a certain crowd or a certain age group. I mean, it was universal. His appeal was universal. And now if you put something like that in front of people, most people just think it's, you know, we live in this instant gratification, instant entertainment era anyway. And it doesn't doesn't hit with some people, but I mean, I think it's hilarious. I love it.
So, Ray Stevens, do you ever like Ray?
Oh, Ray Stevens, yeah, of course. I mean, some of his stuff is a little bit goofy, but I mean, at the same, well, it's all goofy. Some of it I don't quite connect with, but like I'll pull Ray Stevens up on Pandora, and play it. So I mean, it's
and
it's fun.
to show people that we can laugh at ourselves too. One of my favorite songs he does is the Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The day the squirrel went berserk at the first self-righteous church.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I like that one. The streak is funny too. My mom will absolutely die listening to the streak. Yeah. If she's not that, we talk about the dementia, Alzheimer's thing, laughter, man, it's good for all of us. But you let someone that my mom loved to laugh, she loved to laugh. She was a big personality, full of love, full of joy, all the time. But then you see them go through these changes, and you see someone get sick in a way that, they're up and down, depressed and angry, and just all these emotions they're not used to feeling. But there's just something about laughter, and we should take some lessons from that ourselves, man. I'm telling you, like I can put something on like that she may not even fully understand all of it, but she still thinks it's just hilarious, the bits and pieces she gets, and she'll be laughing so hard and so loud. I mean, it just turns everything around, And sometimes, I mean, for us, it'd be the same way. We just need to step back, disconnect for a minute. I know a lot of people are familiar, but the laughter doeth good like a medicine, the verse, from the Bible, but it really does. And I mean, even if you study it scientifically, go look at studies that are made on it, the endorphins and things that it releases chemically in your brain, it does things for mood and for demeanor and things like depression. I mean, it's one of the most natural things that you can do. Find time to laugh, find something. If it's laughing at yourself, find some reason, something to be able to laugh at. And I mean, it makes a difference.
100% agree. 100%. The only time it don't help is when you laugh so hard you feel like you broke a rib. That's about the only time. I've done that a few times, and your lungs feel like they're going to explode. Them too.
Or if you're a female, as they tend to have trouble with the
drip. Yeah.
Yeah, the drip. Yeah, you can get in trouble for making your significant other laugh too hard if you're not careful.
Especially after they have children. That's
oh yeah.
The waterworks change altogether after that.
Yeah, that's right. We probably need to leave that alone, not get in trouble.
I think that's the end of that segment. Time to move. Well, here's a segment that Josh just made us this little banner for, and I like it. And we're going to talk about some breaking reseller news. What is up with the limits and the EIS changes? So let's talk about that a little bit. I messaged you after I got a message from Nathaniel at Lucky 7 Auction. He's like, hey, did you notice that eBay raised your limits? And I'm like, he said, I'm gifting you these, and I kind of done the same thing to you. I'm gifting you these increases. And he said, I got them to increase it, or I think he told me. I may be, I don't know. But anyway, they increased it to $5 million and 5 million items. Is that right? 5 million each?
Yes.
And I'm like, well, that's got to be a glitch. There's got to be something not right with that system. But I was thinking earlier, and you sound off on this too, but if they're going to give me 5 million of each, I'm not paying for a store subscription anymore. I'm just going to take that 5 million and I'm going to run.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with it. Honestly, I told you what I thought was really funny about it is, you had sent me that message. I had seen it the day before, whenever it started. And so, in between church, my wife was feeling under the weather Sunday morning. And so I'd taken her to the doctor after church Sunday morning. And so we got back and then picked mother up, and she was helping mom, do bath and that kind of stuff that we do, or kind of our routine on Sundays. So while they were busy, we'd already eaten. So I sat down. I thought, well, while I'm waiting on them, I'll list a couple of things. I had all my stuff set up, to list the CDs. I listed one, no problem. I started the night before, got sleepy and went to bed. So I finished it up, went right to my next one. I was going to get rolling and list 4 or 5 while they were doing that. But very next one, when I got ready to list, I scrolled down to hit, to post the listing. And it said 25 cents insertion fee. And I thought, how's that possible? I've got almost 5 million listings. But Of course, y'all know that they do categorically. Sometimes they'll set limits on what you can list in a category. And I have been listing a lot of music. That's all I've listed for the last week and a half. I mean, I've been burning through those CDs, trying to get them done. I'm down to 2 of the large priority mailboxes, the square ones, or the 12 by 12 by whatever they are, that I pulled the tabs up on and taped them together. And I've got 2 layers. So, I mean, they're double layers that I've got 2 left of those still to go. But I mean, I did have like 7 or 8 full. And so I'm down to 2. So
well,
yeah, I mean, and of course I've lotted a good bit together. So I have listed a lot. It's my point. I've listed quite a few music listings, and I guess I just got capped on how many I could have for the time being. So it's all right. I was getting tired of it again anyway, so I need a break. I'll just list something else for a few days, or maybe for the rest of the month. Who knows? It'll still be there.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you remember and I've not been listening, but anyway, once I get back to listing, I've got 600 listings. No, I still ain't. But I've got 600 listings worth of pet type stuff: aquarium, lizards, snakes, birds, fish. And I'm sure I'll probably be pushing the limit in some of that. But no, yeah, I ain't listed. I mean, it's been 30 days since I've listed anything. It's been 90 since I've listed regularly.
Your pet stuff, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but that would be something that, because it's quantity listings, if you had time to sort through it and just get like 5 of them that you could get the quantities together, you knew you had like 50 of this item, and you could because it's just going to be like a front and back picture since it's new. You could take that home with you and even finish that on your phone. And I mean, that's a bulk of stuff. So I mean, it can sell many times. I don't know how fast the sell through is on it, but the sooner you get it up, the sooner you can start selling it.
That's going to be the issue with that stuff, is the sell through is not going to be great, but it's going to be consistent enough that, I mean, if it takes a couple of years, that's okay.
Yeah. Is there any of that stuff? I can't remember what all you have. Is it anything that you would be able to lot and do well, or is it mostly going to be a buyer's going to only need one?
Some of it you could lot, some of it you can't. For instance, like I have 4 or 5 like aquarium pumps, filter pumps. Those will be singles. Then I have like bird accessories, like the little thing they swing on deal.
Yeah. The swing.
The swing. Yeah, that's the proper name for that, right? You're proving our point. Laughter.
The swing.
The little swing.
Well, most people call it a swing, but I'm not sure what they call it in the bird world.
What do they call that little swing the birds swing?
I don't speak bird, so they may call it something different.
They call it,
Yeah.
But I have those, and then I have like perches, and I have accessories. So each one of them is going to be worth like $6, $7, $8, $9, whatever. So just make like an accessories lot of 4 of them or something. But if I have 10 of each, then I've got a quantity of 10 of that accessories lot. So I love doing stuff like that, just because it's so much quicker. And I listed one thing one time. It's some little micro cassettes. I've only sold a couple of them, but we literally had a quarter in each one, and they're selling for like $50 a piece. So I've already made my money back, and it just don't matter that it sits. Other than taking up space, that's the issue at this point. But I had like 60 of them, so one listing, boom, done, and I had like 6K up on the site in a matter of minutes. Right. And the quantity stuff is awesome for stuff like that. I love it.
Well, I know there's a lot of creative listing strategies for that, like different ways you can list. And you got to think, like, I know you do free shipping on pretty much everything, but even at that, you can still calculate that kind of in your head, because like it's going to cost you less to ship it as a lot of 4 together than it would to ship them 4 separate times. So when you put the 4 together, your profit margin goes way up overall if you can be competitive price wise. So, the way I look at like the CDs, I was listing some that I had a lot, like I had probably 20 or 25 of this one particular group. The Kinks, there's an old British invasion band. Don't even go there, Caleb.
The kinks. It sounds weird.
It's very weird, but but they're it's just like, Herman's Hermits, all these different British invasion bands besides the Beatles. So this was one, I think they were out like in the 70s, primarily 70s and after. Kind of, the Beatles kind of started it all, the trend, and then they had all those others come along. But anyways, the Davies brothers, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Ray Davies and Dave Davies.
They're awesome.
I figured you had. You probably would recognize some of the songs, seriously, if if you're familiar at all with the oldies. I mean, from that era, if you've just heard them. I don't listen to that stuff all the time, but a lot of those songs, like the one or two really big hits from each band, are so iconic. When you hear them, like, I've heard that before. It's been in a movie. It's been on TV. Some old person when you played it,
I worked in Food City when I was a teenager, so I've heard them. They played them all the time.
Yeah. So anyway, when I was listing them, I was looking at different ways. I started to put them all together. I couldn't decide if that would be best or to do something else. I got to looking. So, because like I sold that BG set all together, like it was like 18 of them, got a really good price, like $180. And I was able to get, there were some CDs in that lot that had a really good value, and some that there were 300 listed and 10 sold for $5. Yeah. But because I threw them in, it made my lot look better when it was something I probably wouldn't have been able to sell otherwise. Well, I noticed that there have been some people, and there's exceptions, not every little lot, but like they were just doing pairs of them that had similar, selections like I did. And they were putting like one of the CDs that was worth like $5 or $6 with a CD that would sell individually for $15. But then they were able to sell it for like $27 or $28 plus shipping. And I don't know if it's just the idea that if people buy them separate, that they are, having to pay shipping twice if they're not getting free shipping, and maybe they're seeing it that way, like that's saving a little money or comparable to buying the two. But I really feel like it's almost like a psychological technique, because they're taking, and this is what I did with some of mine. It's like they're taking a rare one that's hard to find. And so you could price it close to the top. So if it brings 25, but sometimes it sells for 18, say if they price it think of it like a $22 CD, say somewhere near the top. And then they throw one in there that doesn't have a good sell through, that when it does sell, like 6 out of 100 listings, every 90 days, which means you might have it for a few years before it sells, unless you literally undercut every price, by $1. Yeah. And you can go you can go bottom on it, bottom everybody out, and you'll move yours. But anyway, it's like they were putting something like that with it, and people's instinct, because they're looking for the other CD. It's like they're comparing, okay, I can spend $18 plus shipping on just this one that I was looking for, or I can spend $28. I get 2 CDs, and I'm only having to pay $15 a piece for them instead of paying $20-something for one. And it's like they don't even bother to go check the fact that they can get the other CD with shipping added to the single one that they was going to get for $4 less. Yeah, they just go ahead and click. It's like, it's that incentive thing. It's like, oh, this is a better overall deal. I spend a little bit more money and I get a bonus disc. Yep. And I really think it's a psychological thing with the pricing versus what's available. So I'm trying it. I want to see what happens. I've mostly grouped large lots on these, but I decided to do something different with that, just kind of as an experiment, and just see if I can make some sales. If it doesn't move pretty quick, I'm just going to go back and put them all together and put about $250 on them and just see if they'll go with that. Because it's a big lot, and some of them, I mean, I've got several that are like $25, like 3 or 4 that are 25, but a whole bunch that are like 10 and under. So
yeah. Oh, I don't blame you for doing it the way you're doing it. So I talked about my new shirt. I don't guess I'll talk about it again.
Well, we got the EIS stuff.
Oh yeah.
So the other breaking news thing, and this has been talked about by some resellers I know already, but if you haven't, got the new information from the recent eBay meetings, there's a lot of stuff actually, but one of the things that came up was they're planning to make some changes to the international shipping, and what they're saying they're going to do is, specifically, they've mentioned Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico, moving those into the EIS program. And so there's a little bit of talk about, I say a little bit, probably a lot in the reseller world, about how that's going to affect shipping prices for people in those areas. And I realize some are going to get way more bent out of shape than others. Those aren't the biggest markets that are buying off of eBay. I mean, we can make it. Now, I do agree, as I heard one mention, that say if you're in the region like the extreme Northwest, Washington, Oregon, up in that area, then you may have more sales to Alaska than I do, because proximity wise, shipping is going to be less. I mean, I sell more in the Southeast than I do in California as a general rule. But I don't know. I mean, it's a curious idea. The fact that rather than using regular shipping, they're going to do their, which I will say this too, since, and I don't know if you've noticed this, since they started the Ground Advantage program, if you use Ground Advantage for shipments like, to Hawaii or Alaska, well, it's very slow. It takes a long time to get there because it goes by boat. It's not loaded on a plane and dropped in a couple of days. So if you don't send priority on those packages, they're going to be a pretty good delay on them getting there, which it's nothing that should reflect on us or hurt us. And I know we've been using Ground Advantage for a while now since that was introduced, but that was one of the questions was eBay having some trouble with that? Because of somebody using Ground Advantage, and were they going to be able to make delivery faster using their own system? But then is it going to be at a cost to the buyers? Is the shipping going to be, $5 more? Is it going to be the same as shipping it overseas to Europe somewhere?
That's a good question. It sounds like it's a benefit to us and maybe a burden to the buyer.
Could be. And maybe they've gotten a deal where they're going to be able to do those differently. You know what I mean? Maybe they won't charge as much since they are part of the states rather than, the longer trip. I don't know. But it's a curious thought. We'll see pretty soon, I guess.
I cut off Alaska and Hawaii and Puerto Rico like 2 years ago, just because doing free shipping. First of all, if somebody in Puerto Rico buys my $30 item that weighs 2 pounds, it's going to cost like $20 to ship it, and it don't make sense to do free shipping,
right?
Especially to those places. It's bad enough to certain places in California. It may be pretty high, I do take a hit from time to time, but as they say, it all comes out in the wash. It pretty well evens up at the end of the day. You win some, you lose some. But if they put it on international, that's interesting. Honestly, I was watching Scott Cha-Ching King, his newest video. It was one of his newest videos the other day, and he was talking about international shipping. This was before all that was dropped, and somebody put in the comments about how that was going to change. But he was talking about, like one of the biggest perks about doing international. Well, used to it was a little bit harder, but now with the global shipping deal, man, it's simple. You just ship it to what is it, Ohio? Somewhere in Ohio? Or
there's different receivers.
There's a Illinois, there's a California.
Yeah.
Depending on which coast it's going from.
I normally go to Illinois.
Yeah, I've had a couple go to California.
It's like Glendale or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, Glendale Heights, Illinois.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And then I don't remember the California, but the biggest benefit for the seller is you're return proof on returns after that.
Oh man.
When that first happened, I remember the first return that come up, and it popped up. You got a return request on yada yada whatever, and I'm like, okay. I go to check it before I can even get to the thing to check it. It's closed, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, did they close it? Like they changed their mind? That never happens. And I'm like, okay. And then I see that eBay took care of it, and I'm like, huh? But
I feel like I need a box of, when you're kids and all you can get was sparklers or like those snap pops or, for fireworks or the little confetti poppers,
Yeah.
I feel like every time I get an international sale on a big money item, I need a confetti popper to pull, because I know it's a guaranteed payday. It's like, I want to celebrate. I had one the other day. It was like $75 or something. It was a music sale, a big lot. And man, I was like, I immediately told my wife, I was like, yes. I just love the feeling of knowing the bigger money sale. Like, it's totally out of my hands. They paid within 5 minutes. Once they paid, I said, guaranteed payday. Don't have to worry about that return. And it's not that I get a lot of returns. I've actually got a very, very low return rate, especially considering that I sell a lot of clothes. But still, it's really nice when it's a big money item that winds up going overseas somewhere.
I wonder if we could just block everything domestic and just ship overseas.
We probably could, but we'd go broke.
We would go broke in a heartbeat. Yes, we
Yeah.
definitely would. But yeah, that's been like, oh my gosh, that was huge when they started that. And I told people, I said, hey, no way that's going to last, but it's been a year or more and they're still doing it. And I still don't know how they really get away with it other than they're, I guess they're $1 billion company. I don't know, but
Yeah.
They make so much money, they can afford the loss. But somebody brought up, maybe they're doing something like Amazon Returns does, like collecting all that stuff up and selling it as pallet loads. And they could be in other markets. I don't know, but
I mean, are they allowing returns for them at all?
well, they allow returns, but as soon as the return is opened, they pay it back to the customer. So if
I guess I should know that, but
that $75 item, if they would have opened a return on you, eBay would have gave them their money back and shut it down. And that was it.
you know what I bet it is at the end of the day?
It's
Like
cheaper.
you said, it's
Or
probably
not to ship it back. Yeah.
it's cheaper overall for eBay to do that. And that's what it comes down to. Like, imagine if they're going to promote international sales for all eBay sellers, if they forced a return policy on us, a guaranteed return like they do here stateside,
Yeah.
then we'd have to turn international sales off because it wouldn't take but one or two a year,
Yep.
to just about make it not worth, just to pretty much make you break even. I mean, it's not worth it. And then the odds of it making that trip twice, the odds of the person overseas repacking it to where it can survive the trip back.
Yep.
Because I'm careful anyway, but when I know that it's going to be processed 18 times and be on shipping containers and barges and all this stuff. I mean, I try, especially if it's breakable, to be super, super, careful in how I ship.
Yeah, me too. And even at that, I've had some. I packed this thing one time, man. I had it bulletproof, and it still got broke international. And I'm like, I don't know. But good thing was eBay refunded them. And I still hate it because, like, my business mindset is once you buy something from me, I don't own it anymore. So I try to treat it with respect and make sure you get it like I would want to get it.
Oh, yeah.
That's always been our mindset. And I hate that it happens from time to time, but you can't always help it. But
I've heard this said, and I think this is a good way to look at it on whether or not you think it's secure. I don't remember who it was I was watching, or I would call their name. I'd shout them out. I just don't remember who it was now. But the comment was made, and it's probably been said by a lot of people, that when you finish packing an item that's breakable, that if you're not confident enough, and I'm gonna put it in my terms. I forget how they used it, but I say this. Let's say we're standing, next to a brick house. If you're not confident enough to take that box and chunk it at the brick, or to go to your garage, if you got a garage where it's a concrete floor, and just pull it over your head and throw it down and think that it's going to be okay, you probably need to rethink how you packed it. Yep. Because the odds of it falling from 8 or 10 feet at least one time is pretty good. The odds of it getting tossed into a truck or a container is pretty good. So, you gotta think worst case scenario, especially on fragile items. And like you said, sometimes doing the best you can do, they're still, it's possible it can get broke.
100%. All right, we better move this show right along. We're gonna run out of time.
Wow, it gets away sometimes, don't it?
We're moving right along. But
it's all right.
So let's throw our sale of the week in there, and I'm gonna go first this week because I love my sale of the week, and it's for more than one reason. I'm glad it sold. Yes, I am. It was a Kirkland's Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus 13-inch figures, ceramic. They've sold for $74.99. I'm very happy about that. That's great. But the person that bought them messaged and just wanted to make sure. Most of the time, I don't like these messages. They say, "Will you please wrap it well?" or whatever. Trying to advise us how to ship, basically. Well, this one just said, "Please package carefully." That's about all it said. And I'm like, okay, that's no big deal.
Right.
So I get this message 4 or 5 days after I ship it. And usually when you get a message on something you just shipped, it's not hardly ever good. And I'm like, oh no. I see the message. I'm like, oh no. Anyway, I start reading it. She said, I am 84 years old and I have collected Santas for a long time. However, the Santa couple that I bought from you recently is the best Santa purchase I have made by far. It is the centerpiece of my collection.
Wow.
Just to let you know how pleased I am with this purchase. I may just display it all year long. I paid $80, but would not take $500 for it. A happy customer. I was like, oh, that's great. I got to share that.
Yeah. That's cool
the
stuff.
kind of stuff that makes it worth, I don't want to say giving it away, but it's almost like, man, you cannot buy that kind of review. You just can't do it.
Yeah. No, not at all.
That's a legit happy person. They're happy they bought it. The packing, I really tried. And I told Tanya, same thing we was just talking about. I packed each one of them in their own box and I bubbled and papered around them individually. Then I packed them in another box and bubbled and papered around that because they're so fragile. I'm like, this is going to be good. I'm going to do this right. And when I got the message, I was like, oh no, something happened. But it was that. And I'm like, oh man, that's encouraging. Like that's the kind of stuff I like to see.
Right. And I think, we put a lot of time. And I'm not saying that, messages from buyers, like when they ask about, I've had people purchase something and they're like, then they send a message about, please make sure you package it such and such. I know there's negative experiences sometimes tied to that. And you'll hear people talk about, I just canceled the sale and blocked them, put it back up, or after I finish that sale, I'm not going to deal with someone and I get it. I mean, if that's the way you want to approach that, but I look at it, majority of my interactions, even in those circumstances, have been good as long as I did my job well. Because I get it. They're not worried. They know they can get their money back, but they're buying a collectible that I'm sending them, even if it's just a $25 or $30 item, and they got a collection of them. They really want to get it in good shape, And I mean, like I had a guy, it's probably been a month or two ago. He made a comment like that, and he said, these have a habit of dying in the mail. I've had this happen several times. So please be sure to pack it well. So when they don't have their original box, and this one didn't. It didn't have the foam. It's very delicate, very small, And so, I mean, I did the best I could do, which, like you said, I mean, I created it almost my own without styrofoam, but using bubble wrap. You know how you can fold it up and wrap it in different, because it had different sized areas. And I mean, I really went all out on that part. Put it in a box, put the box in a box like you talked about, wrap. That's about as much as we can do. Yeah. But I know there's people that don't go through that trouble. That takes more time. That does take effort. That takes energy. And I don't sell a ton of items like that because of that fact. Yeah. But every now and then you get it at the right price where it's going to be worth, and it's the right sell through. It's just worth taking the time to do it. And he was super happy. I mean, and when he left his review, I mean, it was like, this is how things are supposed to be packed. This I'd recommend buying from this, I mean, so he's experienced both. He's not being a jerk because he says, please make sure this gets to me intact, or she, whoever it was, he's just they're just really wanting the item to arrive in good condition most of the time. So, people that are not going to be happy, it don't matter what you do. I mean, and a lot of times they're going to blindside you. They're not going to warn you before they drop that, that bad response on you. So, it just is what it is on that.
Do you ever order something from Amazon now that you're a reseller and get so disappointed? Like, they put nothing in. I don't know what it's like for you, but up here, if you order, I ordered a microphone like this, right? And it's going to fall now. But I ordered a microphone just like this from Amazon one time. $100 microphone. Now, to some people, that may not be a big deal, but I expect it to be kind of padded,
Yeah.
And this is how Amazon padded it for me. They put it in the box, and they took one piece of this type of paper, tore it off, threw it in the box. It did nothing. Like, it did absolutely nothing. And I told Tanya, I'm like, $100 item doesn't get any treatment at all. Like, it's nothing. And to beat that, I had something similar, an electronic item. It showed up in its original pack, like its sales box with a sticker on it. the shipping label on that.
I have. Now I've heard that a lot of times. People say when I've seen a lot of reselling videos when they buy something like that that's got a really sturdy foam packaging, and I've heard them say, "And you won't even have to have a box for this. Just make sure it's taped up well and stick the label on it."
I just
and
can't
maybe I've struck now. I don't bubble wrap if it's got like a really good foam. If it's like really solid,
bubble wrap that either.
But I'll find a box though that I'll cut it down to where it tight fits it. And that's what I go with, just to reinforce the outside so it doesn't get bent up and damaged.
Even if I have, and I don't care to do that either, the foam, you're not getting any stronger than that. But like if I have a little bit of air, I'll take that paper because it's so cheap for me. And I'll just go around it, just keep it from moving. And sometimes, since that paper is so cheap, it's all about perception. People say, boy, they really went the extra mile.
Oh, yeah.
You went the extra mile to try to just keep it from busting and breaking. But I just can't hardly ship stuff in its original packaging. I mean, I've done it one time, and it was on an item that you could, it was one of the things that it was like a tool or something. You was intended hitting it with, like a hammer or whatever.
Right.
But I can't do it. I even had a golf bag one time that I was like, how am I going to box this? Well, I could just put it in a garbage bag or something. And I think I seen Harry Tornado do that. And I was like, just throw it in a garbage bag and stick a label on it. But still yet I couldn't do it. So I Frankenboxed the big old nasty looking box and threw it down in there. Yeah. That's all it was just the golf bag, but still yet it's $100,
Well, the reality is though, I mean, I don't know, like on stuff like that, it's a real dilemma because you really can't afford to buy the boxes for them. I mean, now if you can go and scavenge boxes from golf shops or from, stores like from their box bin and stuff in the back and get large enough boxes to where you can kind of make your own or manipulate one out of it. I get that. If you're not selling a ton of them, I guess if you're selling, 300 or 400 a year, if that's not something you specialize in, then, and you're making, and you're making, $100+ per bag you sell of profit, then you can afford to spend $8 or $10 per box. But I'm not ordering a set of 12 by 12 by whatever 48 boxes, to be able to package something like that. I don't even buy golf bags because of that.
Man, it kills me buying golf club boxes now because they're almost $3 a piece, and I'm like, I can't do. It's just so much.
Yeah,
I've actually quit buying a lot of golf clubs. I've went to just buying the higher end stuff just because, like, you can't sell a $20 golf club and expect to make anything.
Well, you can't spend. Yeah, I mean, you can't spend $5 on it, sell it for $20 or $25, and put it in a $3 box. When you think about the entire picture, all the time you spend, because it's going to be longer to package, it's bigger to store. I mean, everything about it is a little more cumbersome. So, I mean, I get that, and I say that while there's a lot of people that's probably a big part of their business model, and if it works for you, that's great. But like for me, that doesn't work. I talked about this with another reseller a couple of days ago. And I told them that with golf clubs, and I don't really sell a lot of golf clubs, but my thought is after buying, I just ordered some boxes, for the summer, and I've got to list golf clubs. I haven't listed any since I ordered the boxes, and people probably think I'm crazy because I got some really good stuff, but I just didn't. I mean, they'll be there. They're not going anywhere. And I've been listing other things like music, but anyway, my point is I've decided after ordering the boxes for the first time because they're so expensive that, first of all, it needs to be something that sells for $40 or more, or it's not really worth my time and my effort to go through the trouble of buying the boxes, spending that much money. And so if it's something I can sell for $40 and I'm getting it for like $5 or less, maybe $10 or less, if I'm going to have a $20 to $25 profit on it, I can see that.
Right.
Now I do buyer pay shipping. Yours will probably be a little different. You have to scale it by what you.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about golf clubs, there's very few places in the country that's going to go above like $12 to $15.
Yeah.
So I actually have shipped in California for $10. And then I shipped to Nebraska. Of course, you're out in the middle of nowhere. The address was like a corn farm, 100 miles away from the post office. But it was like $20. That's the most expensive shipping I've ever seen on a golf club. UPS. It usually runs I've had it as low as $7, and the average is probably 10. So, but my thing is, I don't like to go below like 30. I really, like you said, about $40. But I don't spend a lot on clubs either. I don't buy a lot of $10 and $15 stuff. I mean, if I knew it was $150, yeah, I would. But if it's a $40 club and they want 10, I'm probably going on down the road. That's just me.
Well, I mean, you'd make less than $10 probably time everything is factored in. Probably way less than that, because just when you take out fees and shipping and cost of goods, you're probably looking south of 15, and that's before you've paid any taxes. Taking care of any of the, we say the box, but we have to buy tape to tape the box with. I mean, there's, and it may be pennies, but all those pennies add up. I mean, all the little things, it adds up. So, I mean, I totally get that. I would think for you, if you're doing free shipping, I would think your buy cost would need to be south of $10 and your sell cost above 50. That would be a starting point, to be able
for $1
to be able to make a decent. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I've done that a few times. I have, but not like every day or nothing, but 4 or 5 times.
No, you can't be afraid to pay up for items either, though. You really can't. I mean, if it's something that's like when I went out Saturday, I went to this sale. They do a sale once a year. This I found out after talking to them, and they have people donate stuff to them. Family members, friends that want to clean out instead of don't want to do a sale. They've just kind of put feelers out, and they hoard stuff up in their shed and their garage. And they live in a pretty nice, pretty decent part of town. They hoard stuff up, and once a year they drag it all out. I mean, they have all kinds of furniture, electronics, all kinds of stuff. They drag it all out, have one big yard sale for 3 days. They have it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and sell the majority of it. And a lot of what they don't sell, they donate or do something with, and they start over for the next year.
Wow.
But anyway, when I was there, his brother had gave him a few things, and one of them was a receiver. He had a Marantz, Marentz. You probably heard of. Haven't heard of it? Okay, well, it's a vintage receiver. It's a really good brand. Watch out for it. I mean, they're heavy.
I've never heard of that.
But radio receiver. So you probably heard of Denon's, right? The Denon receivers. Yeah, Denon. And so so this receiver, for ones that test and work, $500 to $800. I mean, for this particular receiver. So he had $150 on it, and which is a lot. But for parts, they sell for $200 to $300.
Wow.
So it's like if it ends up having problems, worst case scenario, I'll get my money back. Money back, shipping. I won't be out anything. It'll be a break even thing. But it's one of those things where if everything tests out right when I hook the speakers to it, and he told me that his brother, he said it come from my brother. He upgraded his stuff. This is the one he had hooked up, and he was using it, and he said everything's fine. And of course, this is a cool guy. He said, I'll give you my number. He said, if it don't work, you can bring it back, and I'll be glad to give you your money back. He said, where I live, just save the address, get up with me, So, I mean, there's no risk involved in that, number one. But anyway, my point is, but you got to be willing to pay up. He had that, and he had a Tascam. I forget what the designation on it was. It was a 2225 on the Marantz, the model number. But had a Tascam tape deck that was a really nice tape deck. It sells for like $200 to $300.
Wow.
And then he had a Behringer equalizer, mixer equalizer, a little small one. Yeah. I think the S800 or something like that. And he had this is all from his brother and his brother's best friend. He had a Logitech gaming mouse. One of them that's got like 12 buttons on the side of it, those little push buttons. So, new, they're really expensive. Used, they're about $25 or $30. But anyway, I put all that stuff together, and I'd asked him if he'd take like $25 off of each of the two big electronics. And I don't think I can do that, Well, then he said, I'd probably 130 is probably the least I could take. And I'm like, I mean, you wanted 150 for the one item, I'm like, it's really only about $5 difference than what I was already offering, So I was like, well, that's really not okay. I was thinking to myself, I'll do that. But then I had those other items. I think it's about $30 or $40 worth of that stuff. So I set that up there, and I said, "We just do 150 for all." Is that me or you that left? I said, "Would you do 150 for all of it?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll do that." So 150 I paid for all that. So I mean, I paid a pretty good price to get all that stuff. But if it sells if it all works right, then I should have, possibly $1,000 or more in sales. Those merits they have sold for right at $1,000, but that's when you got to carry them to someone that does the professional cleaning and checks everything out. If you can, if you got a paper where you've had it professionally inspected and cleaned, then and I may even look into that and see what it would cost. If it's like a $25 thing to have that done, $25-$30 to have a little work through, or even 50 if it's going to give me an extra $150 in profit, I might look at doing that. So
absolutely.
But anyway, that's why I say even with golf clubs, you got to kind of think in those terms. If it's a Scotty Cameron that's going to sell for $350 and it's got a 500% sell through rate, then why wouldn't you spend $200 on it? Right. I mean, it'd be foolish because you're going to flip it within a month and make $300.
Yeah.
So
crazy. All right. So, man, we have scooted right along in this show. And
we were doing sell of the week, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. Did you ever tell me?
Carhartt boots. Sold a pair of lace-up Carhartt boots.
Forever.
$60.
That took forever to get to your sell of the week.
All right. We're talking reselling this week. How about that?
That's crazy.
Full of it, man. We might gain it. We might gain a subscriber this week. They might think we're for real.
I doubt it.
Probably not. We lose 10 more, we're going to be in trouble. It's getting ugly.
If you guys ain't subscribed and you feel sorry for us, please subscribe. Let's do comment of the week. So I love my comment. It's nothing too fancy, but it has a backstory. I'll share that. So the Vintage Codger said, great video. A lot of truth shared from start to finish. Appreciate you guys. So this is Doug, and I won't say his last name, but anyway, Doug, the Vintage Codger. We've been friends on Facebook for, I don't know, probably at least about a year, something like that. He found us either here or through Chris or through my channel or something. And he's just a great guy. Well, over the last couple of weeks, he's been putting out like singing. He'll sing and put it on Facebook. And you see a lot of people do that. You've done it, and it's like, a lot of people do it, and it's good, it's fine. But then like when you find somebody like you're like, whoa, this guy can really sing. Well, Doug starts singing, and I'm tuned in for a minute, and it's a gospel song. I'm listening, and I'm like, man, old Doug can sing. Like, he was singing, and it was like from the heart, like big time. And I was thinking about you the whole time. I'm like, man, he's reminding me of Josh, like crazy. And I'll tell you who it is after we get off the show. I don't know if he wants everybody to know. Yeah. But anyway, and he can tell me if he does. I don't care to mention. But just awesome, awesome to connect with the people that watch us and support us. And I thought that was great. So that was my comment of the week.
All right. Well, I went with Grams and Pops. I liked what I'm pretty sure it was Corey, because Grams usually has her own account she comments from. But he said, wake up grateful, go to sleep grateful, and extend grace to as many people you'd rather punch in the gizzard as possible.
That's right.
And I mean, I like it. Our topic last week, we were talking about our perspective, how we see things. And choosing to, look at things. I know that was what you had brought up, and it was in your video this week too. If y'all haven't checked out Caleb's video, definitely check that out. The way we choose to look at our situation, are we having to, or are we getting to? And so I like the way Corey put this, because the truth is, it doesn't mean we're not going to have those feelings, get frustrated, but even in those moments, we have a chance to step back and say, okay, am I going to act ugly because they did, or am I going to extend grace? Am I going to, and what is, again, not to be preachy, but grace, very unmerited favor. It's doing something that someone doesn't deserve. And I'm telling you, not only from the good Lord, but from a lot of people in my life, throughout my life, I've had a lot of grace shown to me. Right. And if you've ever had any shown to you, one of the best things you can do is pay it forward. And if you haven't, if you want to get some shown your way, I'm a firm believer in what you give, you tend to receive. So, try a little bit, and it'll change things. It
will. And from our perspective, in the church world, you hear these two words mingled together a lot: mercy and grace. Mercy and grace. And I always love when I hear the definitions. Grace, as you just said, is unmerited favor, getting something you don't deserve.
Yeah.
And mercy is almost the same thing, but from a different perspective. You're not getting something you do deserve. So mercy and grace. And I kind of heard both of those things in Corey's comment. You know, he withheld the throat punch. That's mercy.
Yeah.
And extended the grace. So, you know, I can appreciate that. And I can also feel that. So it's
and that's what I liked. It was real because we all have those feelings. It's what we choose to do in that moment. I mean, and I, like I said, that doesn't matter what your faith background, your religious background, your beliefs, it don't matter. We all have those moments, and everyone gets to make a choice how they respond after that feeling comes. And I thought that was great, you know, just to extend grace instead of the throat punch and the gizzard, you know.
Hey, I love real, brother. I love real. I'd rather it be real. If Corey to come out and said, "I just want to love on everybody," I'd be like, "That's not Corey."
No, I know him better than that.
Now, when it's to keep from the throat punch, that's definitely Corey.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple more segments. Let's hit it. Here comes This Week in Wrestling History. All right, so I wrote one down that I don't know. I tend to do this every time I see anything to do with the Macho Man. I'm like, I'm using it, you know. So in 1985, two people debuted at a WWF taping. You got the same one?
It's one of the ones I wrote down. It's a good one, though. I like it.
I love it. So they debuted in New York against Aldo Marino. The first one was the notorious, the infamous almost, Terry Funk. He debuted by attacking the ring attendant before making Marino submit. And that sounds very Terry Funkish. You know, very Terry Funk. And the other guy was the Macho Man Randy Savage. And during his match with the same guy, just about every manager came out and watched the Macho Man wrestle. After his match, they all came down. And it was Bobby Heenan, Mr. Fuji, Freddie Blassie, Jimmy Hart, and Johnny B all came down to congratulate him and try to win him as a client. I thought that was really cool. And, you know, I have to use my Macho Man references every time I find them, brother, because you just can't.
And he dropped not one but two elbows, they said, in his debut match. You know, that become his signature, you know, the elbow off the top rope. So
nobody done it better.
That's true.
He was the master of the elbow drop.
Well, and I mean, it's you know, we say this stuff about this a lot, but what makes it good? Well, one, it looks real, but two, it doesn't hurt the person that's being dropped on, and it doesn't hurt the person that's doing it. It is an art.
It is,
but people do get hurt a lot. You know, they get hurt a lot when they do not execute correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens. Either the person doing the move or the person receiving it. There's a lot of injuries happen in that ring that are not random.
You can go back and watch where Macho Man elbow dropped one of the referees in WCW during a match, and Macho done his part right. But the ref, you know, they're supposed to kind of lean up as impact hits, and that kind of helps absorb some of the shock. But if they're laying flat on the mat and they take that elbow, there's nowhere for it to go but straight into them. So he didn't lean up. He didn't, you know, like tuck up.
Right.
And Macho Man dropped it. And I mean, you see him just like, I mean, he flattened him. And they said it like damaged his ribs. I mean, Macho Man's like 260, 70 pounds. And boom, he just drilled him, you know.
Yeah.
No doubt that had to hurt.
Oh, I know. No doubt. So I had, yours was 1985. I had 1981. I had the one you had, of course, but I thought this was really cool too. In 1981, Dusty Rhodes defeated Harley Race in Atlanta, and he won the NWA Heavyweight Championship. So it's always good to give a shout out to the American Dream, Dweem, as you say.
If you will. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yep. So I love,
guys.
Yeah. I love watching. They do so many memes of his promos and Flair's promos, you know.
Yeah, they do.
It's just hilarious stuff, you know.
So underrated.
And Macho Man, you know. I mean, all those. They keep digging up the old footage of them and just, you know, creating shorts out of them, and I love it. It just brings back a lot of memories.
But Dusty, you look at Dusty, somebody, this generation looks at him and be like, "God, whatever." No, he can wrestle, and he was an entertainer.
Yeah,
he was a good entertainer.
That's where you hit it. Now they do have to know what they're doing. Like I said, it's an art really more than anything to be able to do the things they do and not create an injury or get injured in the process. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, that's why all the big stars pretty much have been good on the microphone. They've been an entertainer. If they don't have that, if they can't sell the personality and the character, it don't matter what they can do in the ring. And that's held a lot of, for that business and profession, that's held a lot of people that were really good on the execution side back. They were maybe somewhat successful, but never really the top guy because they just didn't have the ability to translate that verbally, personality wise.
Absolutely. All right. So
what we got left, boss?
We got a dad joke that I'm kind of not looking forward to. But anyway, we're going to get
I think what you said before we started.
No, I've let myself get psyched out on it kind of, but I think I won last week because your joke, was not good. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. So following your joke, I've got just a great joke to go along.
I apologize if that offended anybody. It was not my intention at all. I was safe with it until
my heart hurts after that. No, you didn't. I don't think you offended all 84 people that watched the show.
Yeah, that's one good thing. There's not a big audience, so I mean, it limits it.
No, okay. You want to go first or me?
Go ahead. You said you won.
All right. So even people who are good for nothing have the capacity to bring a smile to your face. Like, for instance, when you push them down the stairs. I did not use that joke because of Glenn, just so you know.
Oh, yeah, right. You better watch out, Glenn. He's got plans. I don't know if there's any stairs around the facility when we meet up, but you better watch your back.
If you see a set of steps set up outside, you know why.
Yeah. All right, so I've got a couple that I like. I'm going to go with this one this week. So what do you get when you mix castor oil and holy water?
Holy crap.
That'd be a good answer, but it's a religious it's a religious movement.
Very good. Very good.
If you don't know what castor oil is, you need to go look it up.
My grandpa loved it. Oh my gosh.
I heard so many stories about that growing up. Every adult in my life, boy, they give you that old castor oil, It's like it was treated everything with it. You call it castor oil time,
when I was a kid, I thought my grandpa was saying castrol.
Yeah, like
oil,
like GTX.
Car. I'm like, why are you taking motor oil, Grandpa?
Oh man. Well, I never had it, but I'm telling you, from hearing everybody, all the adults, the older generation talk about it, it seems to me like from their perspective, if you weren't really sick, you were going to be sick after you took it. It was enough to do the job,
Exactly. Hey, thanks for letting me forget to hit our little logo, by the way.
Do what?
I forgot to hit the dad joke logo.
It's okay. It's okay. I think it's just because we were trying to hurry.
Horrible.
And you were already wallowing in defeat before we got started. So
I was snatching victory from the jaws of defeat quickly today.
Yeah. So I know we've gone a little bit longer. Do we have time to work in our little stories?
Yeah, let's do it quick. I got to run, but let's do it pretty quick.
If we don't, we can save it for next week.
No, I won't.
We'll leave it with my teaser. All right.
Yeah, go for it.
So me and Caleb both have had some adventures with some. Well, he had invited guests. I had uninvited guests. I'll put it that way. So it's been battle of the insects here. So number one, I'm sure everybody has a place in their pantry or in their kitchen somewhere. They've got a place where they keep their snacks. And I don't know if it's more of a southern thing when it starts getting hot. I don't know if it happens up north as much, but ants are a problem. Fire ants are a big problem in the South. We treat the yard and stuff like that. But couple days ago, I went to the pantry and I saw some ants where we keep our snacks. And so here I am, I thought I had the problem solved. They had gotten into some pecans that my wife, like candied pecans and stuff that she had sent to her. And so I cleaned all that out, thought I was good to go. Well, today before the show, we're supposed to be fasting, by the way, like doing the intermittent fasting. And I told Caleb, I said, this is probably what I get. I went to the pantry thinking I'd just eat a cookie. And, I just wanted something to eat, which I knew better. I opened up the cabinet. And I reach up there to where the cookie and an ant falls on my arm. And I look up there, which I can barely see up there because I'm short. But I look up there and I see ants crawling around. I thought, my goodness. So my wife, she likes Oreos. She'll do Oreos on ice cream sometimes. She don't eat them very often, but she'll do like vanilla ice cream and, do the Oreos on top instead of cookies and cream ice cream.
Yeah.
That's how she does it. And it's one of her favorites. So we always keep a few around. Well, those packs that's got the thing, where it sticks itself down. I always tell her, I say, babe, why do you pull it all the way back? You're just getting a cookie out, Well, she always, first time she opens it all the way to the back, and then she just pats it down. She doesn't like smooth it down. Well, it had places where it had wrinkles and it had gaps in it, and ants had filled that thing up. Man, there were ants all in the Oreo pack. And they were on other stuff. There was a chip bag they had found their way into that was clipped, but it was full of ants. And so I was fighting ants. Well, then, before that happened this morning, I was trimming the yard, had the weed eater, going around the house, and I got to our HVAC unit, and I've never had a problem like this around the house. So I've had other stories I'll tell in the future about it. But anyway, I'm trimming around it, and I was able to identify it pretty quick. It's a black hornet, seen one hornet. I wasn't alarmed, they go out and pick stuff up, scavenge, hunt, that type of thing. I only saw one. He was diving down to the grass and stuff. Well, I paused a second, and then I went back to weed eating. Well, then I'm weed eating, and I have one come flying in and bounce off the end of my trimmer, like hit it, which I knew what it meant. He was PO'd, and he was coming to try to sting the weed eater. He thought that was his enemy. That's probably where the heat or the vibration, that's what attracted him. And I thought, my goodness. So I turned, and I saw 5 or 6 buzzing around, And so I started backing up, and I thought they were under the edge of the deck, that where I have some wood that I use for smoking because it kind of blocks the rain. I thought they must have built a nest under.
Lost him.
We went out and come back in just
back. You're back.
Anyway, so I thought there must be a nest there. So anyway, I backed away from that, and I was standing probably about 6 or 8 feet from the unit, and I kept watching these bees buzzing around. Well, all of a sudden, one dive bombed me from overhead. I didn't even see that there was one up there. Evidently, some of them had went on up, higher and was buzzing around and inspecting things. He come down, popped me on the arm, and got a good sting out of it. And I backed on up after that and was watching, and there was probably 10 or 15 that were flying around and scoping things out around the unit. So I'm pretty sure I got a hornet's nest built inside. Well, how do you even – I've been thinking about this ever since. How do you even go about combating that? The only way to get into it is to take the screws out and take the metal panels off. And how do you not get just totally eat up by the time you do that? I guess I have to try to do something to smoke them out, or, like they do with bees, get me a smoke or something to, to kind of put them to sleep. If I can see the nest through the baffles, I may be able to spray some poison through the baffles. I don't know, but I'm not looking forward to it. And if you don't take care of it, the nest just gets bigger. The population gets larger. And it's not in a good location. It's like 6 foot from the place where I stand the grill on my porch. So they got to go. They got to go.
They need to go. That's for sure. Need to go.
So, I did that in 3 minutes. That wasn't too bad.
That's not bad. I'm going to do mine in 2 minutes starting now. So a week ago or so, we seen, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, seen our first couple of deer that come up in the yard. And Tanya's like, ooh, I like the deer. I want more deer, and we talked about feeding them and stuff. And she said, let's get some corn, put it out. So I got some corn. I put out some corn. First day, see a deer, comes up picking, Second day, see 2. Third day, 2. Fourth day, 5. And now we're seeing 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 deer at a time, several times a day. And yesterday, 2 of them showed up and we was out of corn, and they're just like looking around like, where's the corn? So there was 5 deer, 10 squirrels, and a turkey out there at one time. And I'm like, man, I can't afford all this wildlife. But anyway, so now we got 2 more bags of corn I've got to put out. And there's coons at night. There was 2 raccoons the other night hanging from the bird feeder. And those suckers are so big. The anchors, the concrete anchor screws I used, they've already loosened them. Because, a lot of times they won't grab great anyway. But they've already loosened them. So I had to go get 2 wedge anchors that I'm going to drill out and put back in the rock and then pull that real good and tight. But, yeah, we've been invaded by mostly good. The squirrels can get a little, like, you don't want them too close to your house. But anyway, I've heard of them building up in the attic and chewing up wire.
If they can get in, yeah. But that's only if they can get in.
Yeah, if they can get in, they can be bad news. But no, we've had deer. Man, deer everywhere, like all over the place. I was sitting outside yesterday. We didn't have service last night. We usually dismiss on Father's Day and Mother's Day for our evening. And I was sitting there, I don't know, 4 o'clock or something. And up on the bluff, there's a deer. And my brother-in-law's outside cooking on the grill. And the deer's just kind of hanging out. And my brother-in-law shuffles around, so the deer finally kind of wanders off. He heard noise, Then I'm still sitting there, and I look down at the bottom of the property, and 2 more have walked out into the field. And I'm like, oh, that's 3. And by the time they're gone, they've wandered across the property. 2 more come out on the other side up towards where the corn's at. So that was 5 I seen within 10 minutes just sitting there. And I said I'd be done. I'm 30 seconds over. All right. But yeah, it's been so nice. Like, just sitting there and enjoying the beauty of God's creation, man. Just enjoying it is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's nothing like it. We were looking at the sunset. We didn't go outside. We were busy yesterday evening, but when we got back from church, we were kind of getting settled, and through the window, we got such a beautiful horizon in the back. The pictures that I've used on my channel, if anybody's paid attention to that on some of the backdrops, that's the horizon we see pretty much every day. I mean, it's like the most beautiful sunsets every single day. And it was like, man, it was like hot pink yesterday. It was so pretty, pretty, just amazing. Just like you said, just outside, just nature. All the different parts of it. If you take it in, it's that perspective. What we're looking for, you can find beauty in a lot of things, even in a simple life, if you just take time to look for it.
Absolutely right. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Come see us at the 2 Old Guys, hosted by the 2 Old Guys, co-hosted by the Reseller Locker Room, Highway 127, Pickin the Plateau. Hope to see you guys there. That's going to do it for us today.
Got one thing. Next week, we're going to have a new segment.
Uh-oh, what's that?
The first installment of Backyard Bungalows, Glamping with Caleb.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
What a way to preface that. Thank you so much. Yeah, we will.
I hope y'all make it to this part. Be ready for it.
That's a cliffhanger. What a cliffhanger. Bye, guys. See you later.
See you guys.